I've become really professional at balancing a pineapple on my head. If you are watching the video, you will see that I am, in fact, balancing a pineapple on my head right now. But hello and welcome back to No Longer Legally Detained, the podcast about life after the psych ward. How do you navigate being an adult when you never expected to be one? And hello, it is Hannah and I am back for another Sunday episode. And yes, I have my new pineapple friend. This is my pineapple. It's a pineapple jelly cat. If you are not watching and just listening, it's just the classic pineapple jelly cat, which I got off Depop because they are actually retired, the pineapples, which is very sad because I didn't even realize they were actually retired. And to fully clarify all things open, I'm actually so tired. So I have decided to do all of the things I've been putting off for literally about 2 months. And I've done so many of them today. Basically, I went shopping. Because there's a new strawberry shortcake range in Primark, and I've been really good. I've not been purchasing really any clothes, and when I do purchase, I always make sure that it's secondhand on vintage Depop charity shops. But I did see on TikTok last night that there was a new strawberry shortcake range in Primark, and I just had to go. I just had to, and so I went to Westfield in London. And I think because I did that this morning, I felt kind of guilty, which I shouldn't necessarily feel guilty because I do work, so and I am very, very sensible with my money, really. I think because I felt kind of guilty that I'd spent some money, I have actually been the most productive I've been forever. So I guess it's kind of a positive. So actually, it was really good that I went shopping. Yeah. But anyway, I did get the strawberry shortcake, they're pajamas. I got the trousers and the top, but I don't think you need to wear them as pajamas. I think they can be worn as clothes. So yeah, that's my opinion on the matter. So yeah, how exciting. But that is actually not what today's episode is about. Today's episode is not about my shopping trip. It is, in fact, though, related to my pineapple jelly cat, and it is pineapple, a safe word when my nervous system feels like you hate me. And I have got a script again because I am one prepared person. Anyway, what I think I was saying was I am actually really tired because I've been I've actually done so much. If you follow my Instagram, which is legally detained, you will see that I actually have just done a post about the pineapple and also published a blog about the pineapple. So yeah, it's been quite busy, but I really wanted to record this episode now, which is Saturday evening. Wow, she is prepared because I wanted to make sure that it comes out tomorrow. So let's begin the episode. Long pause as she forgot what she's doing. So, hello, it's Hannah, and today we are talking about a word, not just any word, a weird little fruit that saved my relationships and actually, quite frankly, my life multiple times. And it really is a nervous system calmer. And that is the word pineapple. So, you might be thinking, if you haven't followed my Instagram, and if you haven't, please do, what is she talking about? And pineapple is my safe word. Now, there has been safe words around for a long time, and this is not in relation to, for example, relationships as in romantic relationships per se. This is not BDSM, just to really clarify. This is a very different kind of use of a safe word. And it all started back when I went to the National Youth Theatre for my epic stages course, and as part of obviously with a lot of drama training, if you've ever done drama training, it's obviously really important that everyone feels comfortable in a space. So often there can be a word that people use, so if you say that word, that means that someone isn't comfortable with what's happening. And in our group, ours was mango, which was an interesting experience, but it got me thinking about the use of safe words. And then when I went to Chicken Shed at this year in September, I was talking to one of the mentors there and was kind of explaining this story alongside other things, because I was kind of struggling with joining in, struggling with a lot of rejection sensitive dysphoria and trauma and building relationships and all that kind of thing. And he was like, we'll have a safe word. We'll use the word pineapple. And so it kind of stuck. Well, actually, I think we used pineapple juice, but I think pineapple is a better word. And that was the beginning of using the word pineapple as a safe word and as a word that helps my nervous system try to remain in control when my brain begins to spiral due to kind of whether that be someone's left a conversation quickly, or whether someone's not said goodbye, or they've not given an explanation, or they have seemed a bit off, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they hate me, I've said something wrong, I'm being abandoned. And logically, I can tell you, like, rationally now, that I know that isn't true. But when your nervous system has kind of been trained by trauma and like neurodivergence and always assumes the worst, it can literally feel like abandonment and rejection and like you're gonna die basically. And so living with complex PTSD as well as ADHD and also like rejection sensitive dysphoria and being autistic means that my brain is constantly working overtime. It's constantly working overdrive, and it's always scanning for signs of rejection. And that can be this literally this tiniest shift in tone feels like danger. It feels like that is it. Someone really does hate me. It could be a delayed text reply. Could be literally anything. Like my brain over analyzes, over scans, over reads everything. I also have pretty good pattern recognition skills, so I can spot a pattern before probably other people can. And so therefore, like, my brain spends a lot of time thinking the worst, and also like a lot of time feeling abandoned and rejected, and that leads my brain to spiral. And the people around me don't realize that, like, I've now decided that they all hate me and I like can't cope, and I might as well just leave because nobody likes me. And they're like, whoa, like you've gone like at 300 miles an hour and no one else is actually thinking that. And so the solution to this was a safe word. And it's a simple pre-agreed signal that someone else can say to me when they notice my anxiety's kicking in. It doesn't stop the world from being hard. It doesn't stop those feelings still happening, and I still have to really like rein them in, but it does give me something solid to hold on to. And for me, like, pineapple means you're safe, I still care, you haven't done anything wrong, you're not in trouble. I spend a lot of my time feeling like I'm in trouble, worrying that I'm in trouble. Like, for me, like, it's like this massive fear of being in trouble. And I need a lot of reassurance. I do need a lot of reassurance. I need reassurance all of the time. And that can be quite like time consuming for people. But having a word like pineapple means people can just say pineapple rather than having to fully explain and tell me that they don't hate me and that I've not done anything wrong and that I'm not in trouble and that they do still care. Whereas they can just say that simple word. And it's not about like control, but it could sound like quite controlling, but it's not. It's not about control. It's about regulation. It's about giving my nervous system like a rope to grab onto when it's dangling over the pit of fear. It's about giving my brain just something to kind of bring it back a few steps and like literally calm, breathe, take a moment. So what does pineapple mean? Well, for me, what pineapple means is like, I'm not mad at you. You're not being rejected. This isn't personal. It means you're not angry with me. You don't hate me. Again, like, I'm safe, and I'm safe with you. And this is like, I just found my Instagram post just so I could read some of that off, because I actually worded it really well on Instagram. And like, that word is kind of like an anchor. And why I might need it. So the reason why I need it is because I'm neurodivergent and I'm ADHD, autistic, PDA, and those things for me, and obviously like it's such an individual thing, and as always, not a doctor, and this is all just very personal, but I know that sometimes like sharing my experiences allows other people to kind of like find out things that maybe they didn't know before, and also like be able to then apply them to like their own lives in their own way. And so yeah, so my brain is often telling me I'm being rejected or I'm in trouble when I'm actually not. And some of the times that it can be really useful to say pineapple are when someone's being like really tired or quiet, and I might take that really personally, but actually they're just tired and quiet. And sat here now, I know rationally, but what we have to remember is when it comes to trauma and like rejection sensitivity dysphoria, it's not a rational response. It's not a logical response. It's a trauma response. It's a like a nervous system going into overdrive, and in those moments can't like navigate we can't like navigate or like battle that with like rational thought. We have to kind of ride that, but to be able to ride that, having a word that like is a bit like a buoyancy aid, like it keeps us afloat until we've kind of been able to like take a moment and like calm down. It might be if you need to leave a conversation quickly, like obviously those things happen all of the time. For most people, they wouldn't necessarily bat an eyelid, but for someone who's experienced significant trauma or who struggles with rejection sensitivity dysphoria, that can really be like viscerally painful. So like just being able to like go pineapple as you walk away allows the person to realize that like it's okay. Definitely with feedback and wanting to reassure me first. Like I think I especially like constructive criticism is something that I really want, but I can often find quite tricky due to my past experiences, because I take the constructive criticism and the feedback through the lens of what I've experienced in the past. And even though I really want it, sometimes it can let my brain spiral. Whereas if you can use the word pineapple, then I can be able to take it for like what it is, which is just the feedback that I actually want and have probably asked for. And also it's a really good word to use when you can just see that I'm already spiraling. And like sometimes I'm sure, or like sometimes I'm just going, and people who know me can probably tell that like my brain's going, I'm spiraling, and it can really, try and help me put a stop to that. Like notice if I'm getting tense or like really anxious. And also like it can be something that's used like proactively to reassure. And I think something that like reassurance is something that I do need a lot. And I think it's quite a interesting concept, like reassurance, because sometimes people can be like, well, you can't necessarily have it, but actually for trauma survivors and the people who are autistic with a pathological demand avoidance profile, or like ADHD with rejection sensitivity, actually reassurance really can make all of the difference. Actually, it is a reasonable adjustment to be able to have that kind of reassurance. But the reason like I came up with the word pineapple was because it doesn't then take away as much time from other people. And I think that's really important to like always like meet people halfway. So like, why does it work? For me, it allows me to know that I'm not being abandoned, that I can just take a moment. I can stop trying to read their tone, stop trying to analyze their silence. I can just take a moment, breathe. I can stop like overthinking and like analyzing absolutely everything that's going on. I know that what that word means, and that it's not danger, it's not abandonment, it's just connection, that it's okay. And I think teaching people around me to use the word was never about changing them, but it was about helping me to stay regulated so that I didn't break off relationships and I didn't kind of self-sabotage and push and like spiral myself down further. And like something that I definitely noticed in my like recovery and in like learning to kind of overcome the trauma that I've experienced is that I really, really struggle in relationships, and I really, really struggle making connections, and that is never going to go away. But I can find strategies that enable me to begin to kind of make those connections and start to begin to like rebuild the trust. And I think that when it's done, it really is the most trauma informed and like neurodivergent affirming things that has ever been like happened. Like it really is like, it sounds so small, but like it just interrupts that panic spiral. It helps me to trust the moment and not my fear. And it also helps me to bring like a bit of humor into the situation. I am PDA, and which is like pathological demand avoidance, or trying to like rename it into pervasive drive for autonomy because it does sound a little bit better. And I think that like humor is a big way that I cope, and a big way that I actually make relationships is through humor. And so actually like having a word like pineapple just really does like break that tension. And also like, it's the most ridiculous thing. And now that I've got a pineapple, which I'm going to be bringing around with me and like balancing on my head, like it really just like super helps. And it also like allows you to re-regulate without having to like go into like a full-on explanation. Like it's quick and it's clear, but it's really powerful, and it's a really like amazing tool actually just to have like a simple word. And like I've created a blog which has my website, which is www.legallydetained.co.uk, and that is kind of what I've created into like a little document that I'm going to give to people, that explains like what pineapple is and why I use it. I've also done like kind of like a critical essay as part of like my course, which is also on my website if you want to check that out, which is more like in detail, in depth about kind of like how I use safe words, and like also how like the research behind safe words and kind of why they came into being a thing. So yeah, it's something that I think is like so small yet actually like so powerful. And I think that it really does allow me myself like try and stay in relationships and start like not to push people away. And I think that it is such a tricky thing, and it's like really hard because when you've kind of like, as I think I spoke about last week, in like kind of connection and community with complex PTSD, it's really hard when the way to recover has to be facing the one thing that you're absolutely terrified of, and all your experiences have only ever hurt you. And I think that is really hard, and trying little things like this can, although they may seem really small and insignificant, actually can make like a really big difference. So going on to like talking about the science of this technique and a bit of the survival, complex PTSD means your brain lives in a state of constant threat and hypervigilance. Your amygdala is in overdrive and your rational brain gets drowned out by for neurodivergent people, so ADHD, autism, PDA specifically, ambiguity is also really terrifying. We often misread signals, expect rejection, or get overwhelmed by things that neurotypical people don't even notice. Most of us didn't grow up learning how to name these spirals, let alone interrupt them. And for me, pineapple is my DIY trauma-informed strategy, a grounding tool, and a signal just to pause. Now, let me be very clear. Needing this does not make me broken. It just makes me aware. It makes me resourced, and it means I've figured out what helps, and I'm really not ashamed to use it. I think that it's something that is a really vulnerable, in some ways a really vulnerable and raw and personal thing to share. But I do think that it has been a tool that has really made a difference in my life when it's used. And I think that it's something that, I didn't know about. I'd never even thought of that as a thing to do, and I think that it would have helped me much earlier if I'd known about it. So that's why I really wanted to share it and do an episode about it on the podcast and the blog and everything. I've kind of gone pineapple all over the place, and I think that if you are someone who's listening and thinking that maybe this could be something that you could try, I would definitely recommend giving it a go, because it's something that you can just trial and error, see how it goes. And I would say to people who are listening who maybe someone has asked them to use a safe word, I would really want to say that you're in a very privileged position, that you've been allowed into someone's kind of world and to be given that kind of safe word. And it's a really important thing that you use it and don't abuse it. Make sure that it's a very kind of the thing is, with when it comes to trauma recovery specifically, trust is everything, and to break that trust for someone who's already struggled is really so damaging. And that's not to put any pressure on anybody, but I think the thing is honesty really is the best policy. And I would always say to everybody I ever know, I may still be upset by the truth, but I will be so much more grateful, and it's better if you just give me the truth. Do not lie to me, because lying or misconstruing the truth is for me, that break of trust is something that I find really almost irreparable. And I think that when it comes to a safe word, it's really important that you acknowledge the kind of really privileged position that you've been put in by being safe enough for someone to want to work with you and use that. And I think just making sure that when you use it, or you ask questions, or you make sure that you don't take that for granted, if that makes sense. So yeah, for anyone who's listening who knows me in real life, what I would like you to know kind of about pineapple is that if I look like I'm shutting down or spiraling, you can say pineapple. The word means I'm not upset, you're safe, and we're okay. It's not dramatic, it's not weird, it's just honest, and it does really work. And I think that it allows me to keep going and keep working forward and making those kind of big steps. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, maybe I would really recommend giving it a go, thinking of a word. It could be silly, random, or meaningful. I would say make sure it's clear, make sure it's something that you wouldn't use in conversation all of the time, because otherwise it would be really confusing. And remember that it means safety, not judgment. It's an emotional parachute, and I hope that most people will never need one, but if you do need one, it's okay. It's okay to need it. It doesn't make you any less. It doesn't make you broken. It just means we all have these different things in life. We all have our little strategies. We all have our different kind of things that we do. And just as someone, who maybe has chronic fatigue, might use a wheelchair to ensure that preserve energy on some days. For people with complex PTSD, having a safe word can just be one of those accessibility requirements, because it just allows you to not use up all of your energy and not keep being re-traumatized or in pain and questioning the whole world all of the time. And I think that those things of just as someone, all the classics, just as someone, who is nearsighted will wear glasses, having a safe word is just another thing that's in people's toolkit that allows them to kind of be not even equal, but it's all about equity. And I think that actually the reality is that actually having a safe word, we still are in the scheme of life, when you look at where people are starting, so far behind, I guess. But it does, all these little things can add up and actually really make a difference. So yeah, I really hope that this is something that is interesting, that people I've literally forgotten what I'm saying. You can just tell I'm so spaced. Let me check the script. What else did I need to say? Nothing really. But yeah, pineapple. Pineapple, pineapple, pineapple. One word, and it just can remind you that you're not too much and that you're not alone, you're not being rejected. It's okay. And so healing doesn't have to be always the therapy and the progress chart. Sometimes it can be as simple as someone saying a word that means you're safe with me. And if you need that word and you needed one, maybe today is the day to choose one. And if you already have one, feel free to DM me, let me know. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear how other people kind of have their little strategies that work towards kind of like making their lives a little bit less exhausting. And until next time, please be gentle with your nervous system, look after each other, look after yourself, and pineapple. See you next Sunday. Bye bye.